They had put huts in the forest. There was no proper drinking water. Sometimes there was a small well. We used to take water from that well the whole day. Most of the time we used to fight among ourselves as to who had come first and therefore who could take the water first. We never had proper water facility. I had a 7-month-old child. It met with an accident. Even then they did not allow my husband to be with us at the hospital. My mother came with me instead and we went by lorry to the government hospital. A week later my child died.
Maitri
people used to come to the coops and give medicines to those who were living there. They have saved many lives and they knew our difficulties very well. These people, Shiva Shantakumar, Swami Agnivesh from Delhi, and the sub-collector Gurnihal have helped us to get released from our bondage.
Now this whole rehabilitation of bonded laborers in Kodaikanal, it started based on a directive given by the Supreme Court to the government of Tamil Nadu, as you know, in 1986, under which 157 released, freed families were to be rehabilitated. Now based on the directive given by the Supreme Court, a rehabilitation package was worked out, under which each family was to be given a house site and 2 acres of agricultural cultivable land.
The Supreme Court commended Tamil Nadu government plans for rehabilitation of the 157 families.
On 8th October 1986, representatives of Government of Tamil Nadu, Kapat and Young India Project met in Madras. The Government of Tamil Nadu was made responsible for dole, 2 acres of agricultural land per family, 2 milch animals per family and house site. Kapat came forward with 19 lakhs for housing and infrastructure and agreed to fund later agriculture and reclamation. And Young India Project was made responsible for implementing the rehabilitation program.
In January 1987, Young India Project, an activist group from Andhra Pradesh, opened its office in Gundupatti, where the government was to assign all the land. By March, 75 families from NMR Poop and 22 Beach Poop had moved to Gundupatti. On 27th April, 125 released bonded laborers did dharna in protest against the rocky land being assigned to them.
In the beginning, when Young India Project came here, we didn't know anything about them. At that time we said, Young India Project has come from Andhra Pradesh to Tamil Nadu, so we don't trust them.
The families blamed YIP for the land problem. By September, 61 more families had settled in Gundupatti, but land for the first 75 families had still not been found. Mr. Sarangi explained that government land in Gundupatti was occupied by rich and poor encroachers. It would be unfair to take away land from the poor encroachers, whereas the rich encroachers were planning to fight the government in court. On the 4th of October 1987, representatives of poor encroachers released bonded laborers, the government, lawyer Henry and YIP met. They decided that the government must also issue pattas to poor encroachers up to 2 acres per family. The poor locals and released bonded labor families had decided to join hands in the struggle for land.
In a meeting, the collector said, you give up surplus land for 77 families and we will give pattas for all the applications given by your Sangam. So we gave up the land in anticipation of the pattas.
In November 1987, the government of Tamil Nadu started its survey to identify surplus land. Giving up of surplus land was a traumatic experience for the locals. December 1987. The government claimed they had found 136 acres. Families were asked to accept 1 acre per family for the time being. Families met to take a decision. The next morning, they met with the RDO and the DRO and rejected the government offer. They wanted 2 acres per family in 1 assignment. April 1988. More than 1 year had gone by, but the government of Tamil Nadu had still not found land for the 136 families in Gundupatti.
The first problem we encountered in the rehabilitation measure was the non-availability of adequate extent of land for all the 157 families. Secondly, when we found that adequate lands were not available in the place of rehabilitation, that is Gundupatti, it was felt that some of the families could be shifted to some other places. Now that created the second difficulty because the freed laborers, families were not willing to move out from Gundupatti to other areas. That was the second problem, but after a lot of persuasion, they were made to agree to shift to 2 other places.
September 1988. The government found land for 59 families in Yelepatti, in the plains 115 kilometers from Kodaikanal. Most of the land to be given had been eroded. On assurance given by the government and YIP that all lands would be reclaimed, the families accepted the land and moved to Yelepatti. January 1989. The 21 families who were still living in the forest in NMR Coop accepted land in Kilukottai.
They have given us 2 acres per family. Only 6 acres of land is somewhat good. If we had seen the land earlier, we would not have accepted it. It would have been better if the government could have provided us jobs, 1 member per family, either in mills, railway departments or highways, so that we can make a living. We can't do anything with this land. It is not suitable for doing agriculture. It is very bad land.
April 1989. Pakkas had been issued and foundation stones had been transported. But families refused to start house construction. They claimed that YIP had gone back on its promise to build bigger houses with permanent roofing.
We allowed the families to change the size and the design as they desired. They increased the size by 50%, and in place of thatch roofing, they opted for zinc sheet roofing in the hills and tile roofing in the plains. Originally, Kapat had approved and sanctioned rupees 9,000 per house cum low-cost latrine. Because of these changes, the unit cost went up to rupees 17,000 in the hills and rupees 13,000 in the plains. We were forced to raise nearly 9 lakhs from our Dutch donors to complete the housing.
Construction of houses started in June 1989. At each site, families elected 3 committee members to make decisions along with YIP. Also, 1 supervisor per site was nominated by the families and was appointed a member of YIP construction staff.
First we select the materials, then YIP buys them. We told them to construct houses with 2 rooms, 3 door frames and 2 windows and bring the roof lower. In the beginning, each house was estimated at rupees 7,800, but now it has come to more than 15,000. For the housing under construction by YIP, I bring the people, both men and women. I look into the problems of materials. If there are any quarrels between the people on the question of materials, I intervene and solve them.